But what I want you to remember through everything is He's still on the throne. He's not less powerful. He's not less than what He was. He's still able to do exceedingly above what we ask or think. He can do it for us. Now, if you notice this morning, I pulled the whiteboard out. I'm going to bring this over here. As Brother Chris says, I can read through what I've got in about 3 minutes. But I'm going to need your help this morning a little bit. This is just the way the Lord led me and gave it to me, so I'm going to give it to you that way. I want us, before we get into the message here, I want us to write some things down. As I said last week, I've been facing some battles myself. Been going through some things. Don't quite understand all of them. But I'm facing it. But I had to be reminded this week of some different things. And I feel like the Lord led me just to remind us all of these things. But what I want us to start out with here is I want us to talk about, for just a moment, some characteristics that we see in people that the devil uses to hinder God working. To give you an example, what I'm talking about, there's a lot of things that in my fleshly self and me as a man, you can do to me and I can get over it rather quickly and look beyond it, move on and say, okay, we can get past this, let's move on. But for me, one thing that drives me up the wall is if somebody lies to me. Something about that, it's hard for me to get over it. It's hard for me to move past that. If you lie to me, it makes a lasting impression on me and it hinders things going forward. So I'm going to write down here, lying. And that's probably not spelled right. It doesn't look right to me at the moment. Why? Why I? Say that again, Brother Chris. Lying. There we go. Thank you. I told you, y'all got to keep me straight. So I need some characteristics from you this morning. Holier than thou. Okay.
One thing that really bothers me in that same thing is prayer requests that are actually gossip.
Gossip. Amen. Any other characteristics? Any other things? This is open. Complaints. Okay.
Crying and whining.
Whining. I like whining. That's a better word. All right.
Doubt and unbelief.
That's a good one.
Lack of faith.
Well, that can be doubt. Okay.
false accusation.
Mm-hmm.
That goes right along with being called a liar. Respected person. Compromise. Nepotism.
Slow down, get your words about.
Thank you, Brother Chris.
Like shorthand. You get my brain working.
We can classify nepotism as respective persons as well. It's the same thing.
Respect a person.
Politicking.
It seems like the ones who say, oh, we don't need politics, those are the ones who seem to.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we've got a pretty good list here. Now, as you said those things, I would dare put money on the fact that you probably had somebody in mind while you were saying those. And if you didn't, it would not take you but a second to think of somebody that would fit in these categories. Because the reason why these things mean something to you is because at some point in your lifetime, somebody has displayed this and you said, ooh, I don't like that. That doesn't feel good to me. That's not right. Something about this is wrong. Now, I want you to remember that just for a moment, and I want to tell you a story about somebody. Sarah, go ahead and put that picture up for me. This is Matthew Emmons. I don't know, Brother Nick, can you see at all? Let me see here. There you go. This is a man by the name of Matthew Emmons. Does anybody know him? All right, I get to give you some first-hand information then. Bingo. Matthew Emmons is an elite athlete. He was an accounting major from Brownsville, New Jersey. And he was a 4-year member of the University of Alaska rifle team. Matthew Emmons went on to compete in at least 3 different Olympic events for the United States in sharpshooting. And I say 3 different events, 3 different years of Olympics he competed in on behalf of the United States. The reason why I bring up this man here today is in 2004, he was competing in the Olympic Games with 1 bullet left to shoot. All Emmons needed was a score of 7.2 to win the gold medal. He took careful aim, fired, and successfully hit the bullseye. However, Matthew Emmons came in 8th place that year at the Olympics. Does anybody have a clue as to why?
Respect the person.
Matthew Emmons came in 8th because even though he hit the bullseye, he hit it on the wrong target. He was competing in lane 2 and he shot the target in lane 3, giving him 0 points for that shot. Now, what I want us to realize here, what I had to be reminded of this week, is it doesn't matter how accurate you are if you're aiming at the wrong target. The Bible tells us in 1 Peter the 5th chapter in the 8th verse, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So you see, when we forget who the enemy is, it becomes very, very easy for us to hit the wrong target. And the reason why I wrote all these things down this morning was to remind you the same thing that I had to be reminded of. Many times we see these characteristics working. We see things happening around us. We get confronted by things. We have to deal with situations that the people are wrong in. There's no question about it. They did the wrong action. They took the wrong course to get to where they are. They're not operating in the will of God. But what we have to remember is that does not make them the enemy. It doesn't matter who it is that has lied to you, that person is not your enemy. It doesn't matter who has made a false accusation or called you a liar, that person is not your enemy. It doesn't matter who's holier than us. It doesn't matter who wants to go around and gossip about us and search through our business to find something wrong. They are not our enemy. We have one enemy, and the Bible very clearly points it out to us, that our enemy is the devil, and he walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Church, it's not me and it's not you that are each other's enemy, but we all have the same enemy. The problem is too many times, Christianity, too many times humans allow the enemy to work through them, and that's when we see these characteristics displayed. But as I said, we've got to realize and remember this morning, they are not our enemy. Stop allowing division to come between us. Stop allowing things to get in and wedge their way in. See, and the reason why I can say all this morning, the reason why I can preach this morning is because I had to come to a place that I reminded myself of this. And I had to overcome it. And I had to get down and ask the Lord to forgive me and give me the strength to keep on going forward. Because my brothers and my sisters, no matter what's going on, the truth of the matter is, whether they're my brothers and sisters or not, or whether they're a sinner on the street, they are not my enemy. Church, we can't allow division to come amongst us. We can't allow division to come to those around us in this community. There's plenty of things that people do wrong. Just in my time here as pastor, there are people that have come on this property and done things that shouldn't have happened. I've had to encounter people doing things that shouldn't have happened and deal with the situation in that moment. But even when people are coming and they're in outright sin, they're bringing reproach upon the house of God by their actions conducted right here. They are not our enemy. We have a responsibility to reach out to them, not and tell them how bad they are, but to share the love of Christ with them, because He loved us even when we were in the same condition that they were. Last week I preached on Sunday morning all about going on the offensive side of things and working against the enemy, taking the fight to the enemy. But we can't do that if we don't understand and we don't know who the enemy is. Too many times I have seen over and over and over again, people get hurt, people get destroyed, people get beaten down. But sadly, over and over and over again, I've also seen those same people come back in such a way that the people that hurt them become the enemy to them. And then they begin to try to destroy those people. Their object in life, their goal, the things, whether they want to admit to it or not, their actions are proving that their desire is to go after that person and bring destruction unto that person. Church, let me tell you something. We cannot forget who the enemy is. It doesn't matter what people do to us. And I know what I'm saying. That's hard at times. That's a big statement. But it doesn't matter what people do to us. We only have one enemy. Church, we cannot fight against man. Because our fight is not with man. Our fight is with the devil. Let's get it right. Let's remember who the enemy is. Let's not look at each other and see, even if the enemy is being allowed to work through us and to cause hurt to us and to cause pain along the way, don't let the people become the enemy, but let's go back and fight the devil. Romans, the 12th chapter, the 14th through the 21st verse, tells us, bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Church, I was just talking with a young person this week. And they made the statement that they have been hurt far more from within the church than they have from without the church. And they said, if you get down to it, I found far more love outside of the church than I have inside the church. Church, that should break us. That should be something that rocks us to the core so strongly that we can't proceed any farther until we go back and we get it right. Now, this young person, they grew up in the church. They know what it is to live a life for God. But they've since backslid. There's been a select few that have worked with him. And they came back for a little while. And they got hurt again and they left. And they said, why? Why should I try when I keep getting more hurt on the inside? Why should I keep coming back just to get hurt, just to get beat down, just to get discouraged along the way from the inside? Church, the answer for that, the answer for why that's happening is because along the lines, we've replaced the enemy being the devil with being people. When they do something we don't like, the enemy becomes a person. The enemy has a face and has a name, and we start going after that person. When someone goes into sin and they turn their back on the Lord, they become the enemy rather than another soul that we love and we care about. Because they didn't make the decisions that we wanted them to make, they become the enemy against us, that they're not good enough anymore. Church, that's not what God has told us to do. That's not the answer for getting through these last days. That's not how we need to respond. The people are not the enemy, but the devil is the enemy. Let's fight him. Let's put him back where he belongs. Let's get him under our feet and move on with love one for another, because with each other we can see victory. With each other we can see great things happen. With each other we can go on and see a world change for Christ. But there Paul told us, do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. Church, to be overcome with something simply means to allow it to come over you in such a way that that's all you see. That's all you think about. That's all that consumes you. Matthew Emmons came back 4 years later to the 2008 Olympics. Once again competed in the 3-position accuracy tournament. This time he was up by, I believe it was 4-point-something odd points. All he had to do was score 6 points to win. Of course, he had a lot hanging over him. Don't mess it up again. Make sure you're aiming at the right target this time. Don't be dumb. He got down. He made sure he was aiming at his target. But he said he got distracted with the pressure of thinking about his failures and mistakes. That as he brought the rifle down to come over the bullseye, he squeezed the trigger just a second too early. He only needed 6.7 points to win. And he scored a 4. Just like that, even though he had such a great lead, he still got a medal. He got bronze that year, I believe. But he didn't win. Church, we've got to remember who our enemy is. But more importantly than that, we've got to remember what our target is. You see, we can get our eyes so focused on the enemy, get our attention so focused on the enemy, that we begin to get discouraged. We begin to get beat down. We begin to just try to fight him over and over and over and over again. And we forget our goal is not to fight the enemy. Our goal is to serve the Lord. Our focus needs to be on Jesus. It doesn't need to be on fighting the enemy. If Jesus calls us to fight, He'll give us the strength we need and the tools we need in that time to fight the enemy. But now, in this moment, in the day-to-day aspects of our life, we need to keep our eyes and we need to keep our attention focused on Jesus. Hebrews tells us in Hebrews the 12th chapter, and the 2nd verse, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Philippians, the 3rd chapter and the 14th verse, tells us, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Church, Paul here is saying he found the target and he was pressing towards that target. He wasn't looking to the right or the left. He wasn't going anywhere else. He wasn't having his focus and his attention on the enemy, but he was pressing towards the target ahead of him. Church, let's get our target set before us and get our minds and our attention focused on the target and move towards that target. Church, the devil is trying his very best, any way he possibly can, to destroy us. It doesn't matter how he does it. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It doesn't have to be drugs. It doesn't have to be adultery. It doesn't have to be murder. It doesn't have to be strife or envyings or any of these things. It can be something as simple as bitterness. It can be something as simple as doubting God. It can be something as simple as just being so beat down that you give up on God. He doesn't care how he does it. He just wants to destroy us. What I've found over the last couple weeks, dealing with my situations, is that the devil was using someone else to try to destroy me. But what was so easy for me to do was to turn back around and try to destroy that person for coming against me. The devil doesn't care how he does it. The devil doesn't care if he gets me or he gets you, as long as he gets us. Church, don't allow your enemy to take on a face and a name. But remember, it is the devil. And we will be overcomers if we allow good to overcome evil. Church, I want us to find a place to pray here this morning. I don't know the things you're facing in your life. If I'm perfectly honest, I feel like I've been a bad pastor the past couple of weeks, just trying to figure out what's going on in my own life. But what I do know is that this is one of the easiest ways for the devil to destroy the entire church, is to put us against each other and let us do his work for him. Church, we need to get back on our face before God and cry out, God, bind us together. God, give us a love one for another that has passed anything we've ever experienced or known before, because we need each other. God, don't stop there. Give us a love for the sinner out on the street, for the person that comes against us, that does wrong to us. Give us a love so great for them that we love them like we never have before, and we can share your love with them. And God, get our eyes focused back on the target of you. Don't let us look at what everybody else is doing. Don't let us get bogged down with even what the enemy is doing around us. But let's focus on the target that is set before us and push towards that prize, towards that target, that we can see what it is that the Lord has for us. Let's find a place to pray this morning and call out to Him.